Hello Year 11, today we are going to finish off our note-taking for Petronius's A Spooky Story. So you are going to need to be doing the work in your Superstition and Magic booklet, although I suggest that you do the starter on some lined paper. So, for starters then, give an example of a sound effect in the text and state its effect. Why does the lycanthrope remove his clothes before changing into a wolf? And explain two similarities between the Pliny and the Petronius text. So please pause whilst you answer those questions. So, an example of a sound effect in the text could simply be onomatopoeia as an example. You will have to have a look back at your previous notes to find the previous onomatopoeic word. Why does the lycanthrope remove his clothes before he changes into a wolf? Well, it seems that there is some sort of connection between the werewolf and his clothes. It seems that he will only be able to turn back into a wolf if he has his clothes, because clothes are what connect him to his humanity. And then finally, similarities between Pliny and Petronius. You could have any number of things. You could have the fact that they're both prose. You could have the fact that they're both telling a story. There's any number of things that you could have for that. So we're going to move on and we're going to have a look at the text in more detail. So remember, you are going to need to make notes on any particularly difficult vocabulary if the notes that you already have aren't sufficient. You're going to need to write a translation, and you're going to need to write down any stylistic notes that come up in the purple box as well. Okay, so Gladium tamen strinxi et in tota via umbras cecidi. So, fairly simplistic sentence, this one. However, I drew my sword and I slashed the shadows through the whole street. So, do remember that umbra can mean ghost, but it can also mean shadow. So, iron was believed to dispel magic and to drive away magical beings. However, bronze was the metal that did the opposite. If you were looking to attract a magical being towards you, you would use bronze. So this is reasonably important to remember, because we do come across different people using different metals for different reasons. In this case, Nikaros is using iron, the iron in his sword, to drive away the magical werewolf. But his attempts to dispel the shadows do seem quite comic in a way, because he's literally just slashing through shadows. It's a bit of a stupid image that you get in your head. Donek adwilla mamaki meai perwenirem. So, until I was reaching my friend's house. Ut lawa intrawi paine animam e buliwi, sudo mihi per crura fluebat oculi motui, vix umquam refectus sum. Okay, so we've got a little bit of word order soup going on, so let's find out what this is then. I entered like a ghost. So it's worth noting here that when ut is used with the indicative, it is actually meant as like or as. So I entered like a ghost. I almost poured out my soul. Sweat was pouring down my legs. So with this, I think probably the only thing to say about it is we've got that whole idea again of the soul being able to exit the body through the nose. It's sort of, you're exhaling your soul out. You feel like you're dying. And the idea of sweat pouring down his legs as well is a fairly comic thing to think about. So my eyes were dead. I was barely recovered at any time. So this altogether is a really, really vivid description of what his reaction was to trying to get back to Melissa's house. it's meant to be, this is the point where you realise, like, yeah, you are actually reading a novel. You've got similes in there, you've got very descriptive language used. It's the bit where you really realise that actually, yeah, Petronius is quite obviously writing a novel. Melissa mea mirari koe pit quod tam sero ambularem. So, my Melissa began to wonder because I was walking so late. So there is some soft alliteration here, Melissa mea mirari, which mirrors the kind of the calming effect of Melissa's presence upon the speaker. And it also almost mimics her sense of wonder. You can sort of see her almost, stuttering when she sees him. So this is the point in the story where Nicaros gets a moment of calm, and it's kind of allowing for a greater impact when it's shattered moments later when Melissa tells her own scary tale. Si ante inquet venisses saltem nos adiuesses. So, she said, if you had come earlier, you could have at least helped us. Lupus enim will lamitravit, et omnia pecora oppugnavit. For a wolf entered the country house and attacked all of the sheep. Tamquam lanius sanguinem illis missit. He let out their blood like a butcher. So, lanius is a word that helps to convey the kind of shredding of the sheep. And it's kind of meant to also show the professionalism of the way that the wolf has murdered all of these sheep. So you are meant to get the idea that, this is definitely not just a wolf. This is something that you have previously encountered. This is definitely going to be the werewolf. Nectam mendirissit etiam si fugit, servus enim noster lancea columeios triacit. However, he did not have the last laugh, even if he did flee, for our slave stabbed his neck with a spear. Haec ut audivi operire oculos amplius non potui, sed luce clara domum fugi. When I heard this, I was not able to cover my eyes any longer, but I fled home in broad daylight. So this is Nicaros speaking again. This is Nicaros saying, he's incredibly frightened, and he's even sort of run away from Melissa, the girl that he loves. He's even run away from her. But there is a bit of comfort. It is now broad daylight, none of that full moon that's like the sun. It is now actually sunny for Nicaros. Et postquam veni in illum locum in quo lapidea vestimenta erant facta, nihil in veni nisi sanguinem. And when I came to that place where the clothes had been made into stone, I found nothing except blood. So, nihil is placed at the beginning of this particular clause, and it shows us the speaker's wonder and his relief, because he's come across the location of his previous adventure, but the delay of the blood of the sanguinem is demonstrating how he's kind of slowly realised what he's looking at as he's looked at this scene. So this is really, really good use of word order by Petronius here, because the word order is mimicking the order of the actual events that are being described by him. So he's, nothing I found except blood. Okay, so he's not found the clothes, but he has found blood. Ut vero domum veni iacebat miles meus in lecto tamquam bos, et colum eius medicus curabat. When I actually came to the house, my soldier was lying on the couch like an ox, and a doctor was caring for his neck. So, tamquam bos. So, another very brief but very effective simile. So, Nicaros here is conveying the strength and the size of the soldier by saying that he is like an ox, but he's also giving him an animalistic quality. He's telling us that he is an animal, even when outwardly he's appearing human here. There is also word order, and it's kind of showing us the order which the speaker took in the scene that he saw. Intellexi illum versipellum esse, nec postea cum illo panem gustare patui, non si me occidices. I understood that he was a werewolf, and afterwards I could not eat bread with him, not if you had killed me. So, intellexi, we've got some emphatic positioning here. It's right at the start of the sentence. It's showing this sudden dramatic realisation that Nicaros has had of what the truth actually is. Now, Nicaros has been characterised as a bit thick throughout this whole thing, so I don't think that we need to worry that it's taken Nicaros this long to reach the conclusion. It does also add a certain amount of drama to it as well. And just a note on the word versipellum as well. Versipellum literally means a skin changer. So, versi, change, and pellem, skin. So, it's not always linked to werewolves. Apuleius uses the term when describing how witches in Thessaly can change their appearance. However, versipellum is often used by Romans afterwards to describe werewolves. So, finally then, what I would like you to do is, with the rest of the lesson, if you could try to have a go at the following essay. Romans were terrified of the supernatural. To what extent do you agree with this statement? Once you have written this essay, can you please make sure that you submit it to me over Satchel 1, which will help me to keep track of who's handed their essays in. And just a reminder, once more, that it is me that you are trying to impress, guys. It will likely be me who is having to give you your grades. So do the best that you possibly can. Show me what you are capable of with these. And if you need any help, you should know by now that all you need to do is drop me an email and I will get straight back to you. Okay, good luck with your essay writing.